The Utah Mammoth is sorta proud to present Nashcast.
What the is a Nashcast?
Nashcast, the only hockey show on the planet. Hosted by a human speed bag, fourth line wannabe, healthy scratch, schnozzy moto, Tyson Nash.
Who the hell is Tyson Nash?
Never heard of him.
And the baritone with a brain, the velvet hammer, Mr. Silky, Tono Suave, the radio voice of your Utah Mammoth,
Code Blue!
Mike Folta.
Oh, Captain, my Captain!
Nashcast begins now.
Ready for takeoff.
Here's Tyler Ganoush and Mickey Foghorn. Wait, what? Oh, here's Tyson Nash and Mike Folta.
Well, Mike Folta, my man, how we doing? We got another show. Cannot wait for this one. As you know, good friend of the show. She's been on the Nashcast last season, during the season, and we have her back once again on the podcast. Coach Dar is actually in the house in this one, front and center, one of the biggest badasses I know on the planet, good friend, and there is no stone unturned with this woman. She has worked with everybody, literally everybody who's anybody in the NHL, in the NFL, in the NBA, you name it, CEOs across the world, and we got her once again, Foltz. But what's going on, buddy? You're looking fresh.
I'm feeling fresh. Was just on the East Coast. Nasher was eating some oysters out in Rhode Island, nature's bounty from the Narragansett Bay, I think it's called. I don't know, but it was a great time out east, out in Bruins country. Had a wedding out there, but back in God's country here in Utah, we had some news. We'll touch on Michael Carcone signing, but Coach Dar, like you were talking about, wanted to run through a wall with some of the stuff that she was saying. You can hear, you understand why some of the most powerful CEOs and the most influential athletes are going to her to keep their mental skills sharp. Because even in just my first conversation with her in our interview, it was evident and it was clear that, like, oh my gosh, if I sat down with her and had like a one-on-one interview, I'd be way better at everything I did. So I'm glad that we were able to get her on again. I know it's the second time for you interviewing her in conjunction with Nashcast, but just glad he didn't scare her away the first time.
I know. I know. We locked her in a long time ago, so thank goodness. But what I find fascinating about it for me is that I remember back when I played, and I'm a dinosaur right now, but man, if you had a mental coach, even if you said you were thinking about it, they're like, what's wrong with this guy? There's something wrong with this guy. So it was fascinating to talk to Coach Dar about that and the importance of it, because I think the biggest thing for me is everyone can shoot, everyone can skate as far as hockey goes, right? Everyone can shoot a basketball, but it's the mental game that separates the good players from the great players in my mind. And I think hockey in particular is probably 80% mental. I mean, some people might think I'm crazy, but literally 80% mental, 20%, if I get my math correct, physical, right? And how you produce on the ice. It just is. I've seen guys that I played with in the past that just didn't have the mental capacity to deal with adversity or success when it happens, right? Because it hits everybody. It hits everyone in this world. It does not discriminate. And how you handle that adversity separates, the men from the boys.
I think we need to get Coach Dar in a room with the goalies. Like, if you're a mental skills coach, that's got to be
maybe
like
the broadcasters too.
Yeah, well, but like we're always trying to figure out goalies, right? Like, get inside the goalie's mind. I'm very curious what she would say if she could talk to Veggie or Vitek Vanacek or one of the Utah netminders, because so often in our sport, especially, we talk about momentum, you talk about confidence and things like that, but that's even more so for a goalie, right? And so that's just one thing that popped into my mind when we were talking, like, oh man, what would she have done if she was with the Edmonton Oilers? Like, would she be throwing Calvin Pickard out there, or would she
She
be?
would have had the white flag up, is what she would have. My God. I'll say it again. How do you have the two best players in the world and you don't know who your goaltender is going into game 6? Now, that is a major problem, right? And again, to your point, I loved how she talked about fear-based motivation, right? That was something I dealt with in my career. It motivated me. Always worried about the guy behind you. And she also touched on, what was she saying about the windshield? The windshield is the size of the windshield, and the rear view mirror is the size of the rear view mirror. You just want to look that much in the rear view and focus mainly on what's ahead of you. And also her comments on life balance. And she said that just a bunch of crap. She's like, it's an absolute bunch of crap. If you have life balance, you're probably not all that successful in, what you're doing currently. So I cannot wait for everyone to listen once again to Coach Dar. Just such valuable life lessons from top to bottom.
It kind of reminded me of listening to Andre Tourney a little bit, because he also really digs into the anatomy of the player, the heart of the player, the soul of the player, right? We heard that from Bill Armstrong, but you hear about Bear like really trying to know his players, and Coach Dar talked about that. You brought up the fear-based motivation, like that can be healthy, but it kind of depends on the player, right? And she gets into that in this interview. So we'll get to that here in a little bit. We also had a couple other news items, Nasher, and congratulations is in order to you and to our entire Mammoth TV broadcast team, Matt McConnell, Dominic Moore, Kim Becker, Nick Olchek, Sarah Merrifield, our outstanding producer, Doug Foster, our director, Paul Hemming. Utah Mammoth ranked 3rd overall in the Athletics annual broadcast team rankings. And for a first year, that's really special. I know you were on a bunch of those broadcasts, Tyson, but congratulations to you guys for placing 3rd amongst all 32 NHL teams in a league-wide survey ranking the best broadcast teams. Gotta feel pretty special. And obviously, being a new team has something to do with it, right? In Arizona, when the team wasn't doing as well, maybe you weren't as high in the rankings. And at the end of the day, they don't matter all that much, but it's still a nice little feather in the cap. So congrats.
It is. Yeah, congrats to you too, buddy. You're a massive part of it. And that's a team, right? I mean, everyone has a role. Everyone has a responsibility. And the biggest thing is entertaining, right? We're in the entertainment business. And man, do we have one hell of a product with the Utah Hockey Club last year, Utah Mammoth now. So just so much more to talk about, so much more to get excited about. All the pieces that Bill Armstrong is starting to put in place and adding to the foundation with some of his offseason signings and more draft picks. So if you're a Utah Mammoth fan, my God, do you have a lot to be excited about?
Well, speaking of those pieces, Utah added another one last week. It was actually right after the episode dropped, so we didn't get it on last week's pod. But Michael Carcone back for another year after at last year's exit interviews. He was a little discouraged about the way that the season had gone for him personally, but he's back into the fold. He's a guy who had 21 goals a couple years ago, and Tyson, you've seen him bring that edge. He's a little fire plug out there, only about 5'9", 5'10". It's like my height on a dating app. I don't know what he actually is, but he definitely punches up, and he brings an element of speed and toughness to that bottom six.
Brett Hall always used to say, yeah, this guy looks way bigger on the ice. He goes, well, hang on a sec. Let me stand on my wallet then. So Foltz, maybe you can stand on your wallet if need be on those dating apps. But Carcone is just another piece, right? And I think he's valuable because he's just a workhorse. He grinds. He can play in every situation. He can play on your power play. He can play on your top line. He can play on your fourth line. And he can grind. And I think that's where he's so valuable, that he can be a momentum changer, right? For the Utah Mammoth. They come out flat. You throw Carcone out there. He can fight. He can hit. And as you mentioned, 21 goals a couple of years ago. He has that touch, certainly. I think he led the entire American Hockey League 3 or 4 years ago as well. So the kid has talent. I think he probably would have wanted a longer term deal, but that's just motivation, right? That's the carrot dangling in front of him, just to keep him on edge, on his toes, to always want more. So hopefully he's a big piece, and just another big, piece to this puzzle.
One of my favorite stats about Carcone is when he led the AHL in scoring in the 22-23 season with Tucson. He also had over 100 penalty minutes that year. He was like the first guy to lead the A in scoring and have over 100 penalty minutes for like 50 years, something like that. So he's got that part to his game as well. But
and the crazy part too, and Foltz, I think we talked about this on the radio one game last season when we worked together. But Carcone, the only reason that this organization even got him, because when COVID hit, a lot of some of the American League teams shut down completely, and they loaned their players out. That was Milwaukee. That is where Michael Carcone was playing under the Nashville Predators in their farm system. So they loaned him to the Tucson Roadrunners, right? And all of a sudden he pops off and he's called up. He signs an NHL contract, and the rest is history. So thank you, Nashville Predators and Milwaukee, for folding your tent, because we got one hell of a player.
So he's Carcone's in the fold with that bottom six now that also features the newly signed Brandon Tanev, Liam O'Brien, Kyler Yamamoto, Kevin Stenlund potentially. That could be an interesting battle for those last few forward spots in training camp. But let's send it over to Coach Dar here, Nasher. We could get her on like every week and learn something new. She has a new book coming out as well, The Art of Bouncing Back, and just a great chat, and glad you were able to link up with her up in Idaho.
Well, welcome back. We got another show here, and we have one of almost like my little sister. We got Coach Dar. And I'll tell you what, there is not a bigger, baddest ass on the planet than Dar. She's not big. She is small, but mighty. We've already had ourselves a day. We've worked out. Mm-hmm. We've grinded. I'm sure you were in the cold plunge.
All taken care of this morning. 34 degrees.
Oh, my God. Like, if I was in that thing, my voice would be a lot higher right now. That's all I can say. I'm allergic to cold water, especially when I'm in my Speedo Foltz. But Mike Folta, this is Coach Dar.
Oh, Coach Dar, thanks for coming on. I feel left out, guys. You guys have already worked out, and it looks like you're in a beautiful setting up there. And I'm stuck in this spaceship here, our beautiful studio. But you guys are looking tan, you're looking fit, and I think this is going to be a great conversation here. I know you guys already had your Coach Dar. You had your Nashcast debut. What was that, back in March, maybe, when Tampa was playing?
Mm-hmm.
The second. She is actually the first time, Foltz, we've had a reappearing guest. So we obviously did a good job. So, Coach, give me some. I love it. So I don't know what she's going to charge me. I'm sure you get a little bill under the door later, as I should. But
I need a new sweatshirt.
It's coming.
A sweatshirt.
It's coming. It's actually a Nashcast sweatshirt. So we'll get you both. We'll get you both.
The first one.
We'll get you both. We'll get you both. It'll keep you warm after those cold tubs.
Yeah, that's right. You need it. Holy cow. I'm psyched to be back.
We got introduced to you, Coach Dar, when you first went on Nashcast earlier during the season. Can you kind of maybe go through your story a little bit again for us? But also, I want to hear about that day in particular, because that was a special day for, I think, Bryce, a friend of yours that got to come up and meet some of the guys, right?
So one of my dear friends, and actually the CEO of a huge company, it was her grandson who's become very close to me, 10 years old. And I found out that this kid gets up at 5 a.m. every single morning and skates. Wow. I mean, he is in it, and his favorite team obviously is Utah. So when I heard about his birthday, I said, oh, we have to make this special. But I have to give credit to all the guys, because I reached out to them and let them know that we were coming. Nasher, everyone there, and then the boys. We went down after the game, and they brought a cake out, and the whole team sang to him. And when we flew back, he looked at me and goes, that was the best day of my whole life. And I was like, that's it. We're good. When you can make a kid smile like that, and that's the power of sport. You know what I mean? It's like every kid's dream to hopefully be an NHLer, but if not, those memories will stick with them forever.
And Foltz, that's hockey players. I mean, you know better than anyone. I don't think there's a better more approachable, down to earth human being than hockey players, right? That's what makes these guys so special. The autographs that they sign before the games, after the games, but the time, right? And then it doesn't take much
No.
to change someone's life. I always said it to some of the guys. I'm like, they're like, why do you have so many jerseys up in the stands? I'm like, because I spend an extra 10 minutes signing a couple autographs. Well, that kid all of a sudden, he thinks we're best friends and he's going to the store and he's buying a Nash jersey, right? I mean, it wasn't
They
because
sold
of my
Nash jerseys in
stats.
the store.
It wasn't because of my stats, Foltz. I know you love that. You're trying to find my stats, and there wasn't many of them.
It was a Rick Nash jersey that they.
Yeah. Steve Nash,
Yeah, right.
Rick Nash. I'm the worst of all the Nashes. Let's just put it that way.
I thought he had Steve Nash's shirt.
Yeah, but who has Nashcast, right? Right?
What?
All right. Yeah.
Money maker.
Stuck on that.
The real winner, the real winner. Well, Coach Dar, it's impossible to put like a label on you. You're a mental skills coach, a motivational speaker. You work with CEOs and athletes. Can you just describe for us like what is your day to day? Do you even have a day to day?
No day's the same. And I would say, when someone tries to describe it, I'd be like, I'm a little bit like Wendy from Billions and Ted Lasso.
Oh.
Because I basically help peak performers in the healthiest way of Wendy from Billions.
Oh, I love Wendy. Not the guys all went.
No, not the crazy. But so it's like helping. The common thread is my background's in neuroscience. I'm an occupational therapist, and I spent years in traumatic brain injury, helping patients, literally the worst of the worst, overcome the most extreme challenges. And for years did that, but neuro's my background. And then I went back to school for business to try to fix healthcare and run leadership. And I realized everything, you knew it, but I realized everything's the brain. Everything, leadership, life, sports, it's your mindset. And the common denominator is really your confidence, your obsession about something, your drive to be great, and intrinsic motivation, where you don't need someone else. You don't need the extrinsic. And so years have gone on. And then basically in 2008, in a recession, I was like, I'm starting my own practice. My father's like, do you have the damn brain injury? Because
you had a great job.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was doing really well in running companies. And I was like, no, I have to go get to people. And it's shifting their mindset and all the neuro and all the leadership. And I put together a practice that became a kind of a secret sauce of
sauce.
Yeah.
Secret sauce.
From the East Coast. It's a New York Italian coming through.
And don't ever ask me to use that word you just used. What an extrinsic?
What?
What's the word? In a sentence.
Intrinsic and extrinsic motivation.
Yeah.
So
he's talking about neuroscience and intrinsic motivations. And I think Tyson is your first patient, right?
Yeah.
Basically came to where now over the years, speaking comes out of, I speak about resilience and grit. So often I'll get hired to come to talk to teams or people and say, how do you help us get to the next level? And if you had to sum it up, I help the 1% of the 1% stay great. Because it's one thing to get there. It's another thing to stay there. And for every level you go in sports and business, the pressure that comes on, what's expected, it all starts to play in this space. But also you have to know, just like in the gym, how to add more weight. You need to know how to use that weight to help fuel you mentally. And that's what I help them with. You
told a story the other day. I'm not sure if you can talk more about it, but just sometimes also when you get there, all of a sudden then the financial, right? Yeah. You get a bigger contract. Yeah. And some of the athletes, they have a hard time kind of just, putting it all together to, they kind of fold. The pressure kind of gets them. The money gets to them.
Because it's, what happens is you're playing and you're doing great. And then all of a sudden you get a huge contract. And then that starts to play with you because it's like, oh no, now it's really expected for me to perform because I'm getting paid this amount. And my role is to come in and say, you play the same way you've been playing because that's why you got the money. So don't change how you're playing. The money just came because you've been doing really good. So it met you where you are. You don't have to change anything. All I say to them is just keep getting 1% better. Just keep doing what you're doing. And my role with them is to keep finding all the edges. Where's the edge in your body language? Where's the edge in your game? Where's the edge in your mindset? Where's the edge as a leader? Any edge we could find is what we're going to kind of help turn on. But then the money will keep coming.
So you were with the Phoenix Suns, right? Helping them in the mental skills coach. Is that a fair title? And then is that where you kind of came across some of the Coyotes players when you were there? What were your interactions like with hockey players?
Oh, it was great. I mean,
She can't get enough, eh? Even the ex ones.
like a brotherhood. But what I noticed is just what you said. It is such a family, and humble, and grinders, strong. I mean, it's just such a different culture. And everyone is, I almost want a little more swagger. Coming from the NBA, I tell the guys, I'm like, all right, someone needs to bring a little bit. I want more personality. I want more swagger. Like, you could have a humble confidence, but you could walk in, and I heard that there's a rule they're going to start allowing them to wear.
Yes.
So and the reason I'm going to give you a little nugget. So when the Chicago Cubs won the World Series, Theo Epstein have taken over, and Theo Epstein, was great general manager. And when he came in, he had come from Boston, I believe, comes over, and he started to realize he needed to meet the guys where they were. And he started to let them know, like, they need to show up in their own swagger. Like, it helps your confidence when you show up uniquely you, and especially in baseball, you have people from the Dominican, you have all different, same in hockey, you have people from all different cultures. But when he started to let them come in as who they wanted to be, things started to change. And I have to tell you, I've seen this with players that I've coached, all the leagues. If you make them shave their scruff or cut their hair, it almost makes them feel like their personality gets taken away. Right. So you have to, it's all part of the persona, but whatever gives you that confidence, you have to let the player be the player.
Coach Dar for commissioner. Let broadcasters wear sweatsuits up there, huh?
I'm growing my flow back too, Foltz. It's coming back. That was my power. So it also makes the nose smell. It's coming. I know.
What does Coach Dar say about some of the former Coyotes, now Utah Mammoth players that you've come across? What do you say about Clayton Keller as a leader?
Well, I mean, he's literally like my brother. I can't say enough about him. And I want everyone to know he is one of the hardest working guys I know. That there's no let up with him. He is always reading, always learning, always trying to be better. And he has a heart. He really has such a big heart, and he's really obsessed about his craft in the best of ways. And I can't say enough about him. I think he's fantastic for the franchise, and he really cares. That there's not a night that guy doesn't go home and think about his game. Currently, right now, he's probably working on something to make himself better. I mean, if he's playing ping pong, he'll try to get better. If he's playing golf, he'll try to get better. If he's playing hockey, he literally is my family, like one of my family members, like a little brother to me. And I can't say enough about him. And I think he's great for their organization. He loves Utah.
Yeah, and Foltz, I think we know, right? I mean, you've seen it front and center. I was between the benches for years watching Clayton Keller, and he came in as a young kid, right? Yeah. I mean, what was he, 18 when he came into the league? And man, I'll tell you what, the biggest thing for me was putting that C on his jersey. Yeah. I think obviously he wears it extremely well, but the big thing for me is I think it's given him that extra pressure that some guys can't handle, right? He can handle it, and it's taken him to a whole other level. Responsibility, speaking up in the locker room, things that I don't think he typically often did, right? But people are watching him. And when you wear a C, people are always watching, and I think he just wore it so well this year.
I mean, just even look at too when he had broke his leg and how fast he came back, and then had a great, great season, and he's continued to beat his record every year. So I can't say enough about him.
I don't know if you remember, but I certainly do. Like back in the day, and we asked you this on the Nashcast TV show, when you had a mental coach, it was like he's got something wrong with him, right? like, what's wrong with Nasher? He's got a mental coach. Like he can't handle the pressure. But nowadays you look at it, right? We've always had, you got agents, you got strength coaches, you got video coaches, you got goalie coaches, you got nutrition coaches.
Right.
Like the most important thing, and I know it because I was mentally weak, like weak. I know I was, right? And I think it's just everyone's looking now for that extra
Right.
edge, right?
Well, that's the shift. That's exactly the shift that happened. What I do and what I've always done is, yes, if there's a lull or there's a problem, I'll absolutely help you. But people come to me because they want to be the best. They want to stay the best. So it's not about coming to someone for mental skills work because there's a problem. It's because, and for sure you can, but it's really more of, hey, I train my physical fitness, my nutrition, everything. Why aren't I not training this? Which is literally the thing that's going to be the differentiator. It's going to propel you forward or pull you back in your career. And everyone watching all of your life, your mindset will propel you forward or pull you back.
And
so
adversity doesn't discriminate, right?
Oh,
and
no.
The biggest thing is that everyone is good. Everyone can skate. Everyone can shoot. Everyone can shoot a basketball for the most part, right? But what happens when adversity strikes?
Right.
You need to train this to be.
Yeah. I mean, in hockey, how quickly can you come back from shift to shift, get on the ice and like recorrect mentally in seconds, in 45 seconds even, and get back. So, and even maybe a period didn't go well. Well, okay, Picasso, it's over. Like it's new art again. Start over. And the any athlete who cannot recover mentally, and not only for just a game, but games, has the hardest time making a run in their career because they don't know how to clear the emotions and shift into reframing it to use it for good.
You kind of spurred an idea in me when you were talking about shifts, because hockey players do have the ability to, okay, 45 seconds, that was a bad shift, but I can hit a mental reset here and try to like turn things around the next shift. But basketball players don't necessarily have that luxury, and football players, it's different. Like every sport has different a different culture, but also different timings and rhythms throughout a game. What differences do you notice when it comes to hockey players specifically compared to other athletes, and maybe areas that they're really strong in mentally, or perhaps weaker in mentally than the other sports?
I'll say it's an advantage in hockey because the game is so fast. So you could absolutely, our good friend Jay Schmaltz, yours,
Slicky.
I love him, and he has
93.1.
the fella, and he says motion is lotion. So it's actually, we talk about this as a mindset thing. I actually just texted a player today that, and so I said, when you get back on the ice, like you're back in motion, which when your body actually starts to move, it's quicker to move out of emotion. It's good for you. Think about golf. We're right by a golf, course right here. Golf is so hard because you're with yourself that whole time walking to the next hole.
That's a dangerous place to be in this thing.
It's
Well, you know that. No one wants to be in this head. Ask my wife.
So hockey has an advantage with that. And I do think they're mentally stronger. I mean, physically stronger. They handle pain a lot better. You see the NBA or soccer, MLS? Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, they're trained to try to get the call. Whereas hockey, it's like your tooth is out, your eye's bleeding, your chin's ripped. You're like, are you going back in? Well, they'd be out for the season.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's just different. I love all the sports.
We talked earlier about, for me, when I played, I was always so worried because I wasn't the top tiered, right? I had to worry about the details of the game. And that's, maybe why I became a decent broadcaster, because the details. You had to focus on them, right? But I was also so fear-based.
Yeah.
Right? Like everything. I was always so worried about everyone coming behind me, right? And taking my job. An injury, I think a lot of times I played through everything because I'm like, no chance am I giving, this guy who I know is on their radar screen an opportunity, right? But is that healthy or unhealthy?
It depends on the person. So for you, super healthy, because sometimes fear helps you with forward momentum. It actually is the thing. It's why the chip on the shoulder helps people. They counted me out. Let me go prove them wrong. Or someone's coming up behind me. Let me keep going. I have to push harder. So you could use fear as absolute momentum to propel you forward. But sometimes if you don't have other things surrounding, like support system, family, just good teammates, the fear could start to feel like such a weight that then you start questioning everything and you don't use it. You had mental toughness even in your fear because you use the fear to move you forward versus like, this is so much that I want out. I can't even handle it anymore. You were like, I may be scared shitless and I want to go, but I'm going to keep going because I'm not going to give this guy a chance. Where someone else would be like, it's so hard. I just got to give up because I can't even handle this pressure anymore. So fear isn't bad.
And it's also like, it's almost easier on the way up. When you're chasing someone, it's almost easier rather than looking in your rear view mirror, right?
Totally. So the expression is we have a front windshield that's big and a small rear view mirror. Keep the small rear view mirror small and just reflect in it, but keep focused on your mission, which is bigger going forward. And fear is anxiety and it's the rear view mirror. Let it just glance at it to be aware, but stay focused on where you're driving, which is forward to the goal.
Goosebumps, Foltz.
Oh, where's a brick wall here? Where's my wall come from? But you mentioned fear and pressure, and it can be healthy depending on the person to have that internal motivation to be chasing something. But what about when that's applied externally by a coach or someone who is trying to instill fear or instill pressure? Do you view that the same way, or does it then become unhealthy or toxic?
So I want every coach in all the world to hear this. You have to know your players. So I do a flow assessment with every single guy I work with.
Best thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Best thing I've ever done.
Thank you. Because it's like when you figure out what literally drives each person. So if knowing like Ty needs time to prepare for things and how he'll break things down, I would put pressure on him in a way that will actually fuel him in the right cadence. It would just fit him properly. Whereas someone else, I could drive straight at them, tell them exactly what they need, like kind of get your tail out of your tush and get out there. And I know there's kids that could be watching this, but it's like, make sure, like I could get hard on someone and they rather have that. Like I've had players that are like, if you give me any vanilla positive, I'm out. If just come hard at me, let me know what I need to know. Someone else that's more chill, I need to meet them where they are. I need to set up time for the meeting with them, quality one-on-one with not a lot of people around because they are so afraid of other people's opinion that if you call them out too much in front of the team, that's actually going to sink them. So you have to know where each player's mental flow state is. And then coaching is like literally like a puzzle piece, right? When we did it with you, you just start going, oh, I know how to talk to this person and that person and how to excite them.
And lots of teams, I mean, if they're not doing it, they should do it because it is so valuable for a coach, right? To know, because you can't push the same buttons for every player.
No.
Right? It's like my family, we did it and it's not even all about sports. Like for my family, for your wife, I mean, it gave my kids a better understanding. Like now dad makes sense.
Yeah.
Now we know why he's such a hothead because I think I was like 90% fire, right?
Yeah.
And
fire and earth.
Fire and earth. And now my kids, when we get into conversations, they know how to manage me, right? And so important for a couple, important for a family, and for a coach is for a CEO to manage his employees. But I went through it before with Oliver Ekman-Larsson, right? I watched it. I mean, this guy is a remarkable hockey player, and I'm not knocking him in any sense of the word, but the worst thing that ever happened was them putting the C on his jersey because he was a guy that kind of sat back in the weeds, played behind Keith Yandel, who was an elite, obviously defenseman. And he could kind of just sit back and watch. All of a sudden the C goes on his jersey. He changed. It ruined him for a couple of years, right? Because he couldn't handle all that coaching. Yeah, what that all came with, right? It's just not his personality. Yeah. So I think
and it's just learning. This is perfect because leadership is so much about that. Like team chemistry to win the Stanley Cup, it really comes down like the teams that have the best chemistry and connection on top of talent, but talent doesn't win you the Stanley Cup alone. You have to have the team chemistry and the guys have to know how to flow in that locker room. I will say this till I die. In every sport, that ever is their championship. The team that won had the most fun. They were the most connected. They were all knew how to engage. They knew how to get on and not get on. It's like it's art. And this is part of understanding that is that they all know how to communicate with each other. Who needs the shove? Who's got to help this guy out? And captains, especially, leadership is not taught in sports. You just all of a sudden come in, you're 18, and all of a sudden you just are expected to be a leader. Well, in business, you get taught leadership as you go. So part of my role is coming in and teaching them just this, like, hey, you've just been told you're a leader and you kind of are by your performance, but there's a lot more than performance. It's how do you lead your team? How do you help your players? How do you communicate with coach? So all of that has to be learned, and no one is teaching this enough.
Are you seeing it? And
Oh,
I know you watch a lot.
definitely. I mean, I think coach is great, and he's done something with the team a little bit different, and they have great communication. I think the team is in a really good state to keep building on. Obviously, great owner, great. They're building around it. I mean, it's like
Great broadcasters.
great broadcasters, exactly. Funniest.
Yeah. Funny as
Now,
well.
I've heard you talk about chemistry before. Where does chemistry come from? It seems like something that just appears on some lucky team's doorsteps every once in a while, and they just have it and it works. And then other times it seems from a layman's perspective like this team should have chemistry and yet they don't. Where does it come from? How do you acquire chemistry?
So I actually think when you're like, if we could scout and make our own team, I would definitely have on the team, you have to have the guy that makes people laugh in the locker room. Like you just have to have the clown, so to speak.
I was good in the locker room, folks, but that's where they kept me.
You need that guy, number one, who's like, when it's 82 games and you're on the road and it's hard, and say you're getting your tail beat in a little bit, you need someone who comes in and just hazes you and makes you laugh. Like they're the guy that brings the energy in. And then you need the enforcer, not so much the enforcer in typical like going to hit you, but the enforcer who I call a little bit of an a-hole.
Yeah.
Like, someone's got to chirp and call people up and not be afraid in the right time. They have respect, they put it in. And then you have the other teammates that are just kind of like they're there and they're the ones that listen, they help. You'll see the dynamics. We could just look at obviously who won this past year. You know, you had a little bit of all of that. So chemistry is created by who you draft, because I think if you drafted a bunch of a-holes, you're not going to have that. If it's a bunch of clowns, you're not going to have it. So you really have to look, when you're building a team, you have to look at the matrix of that. It's important. And the other thing is chemistry is cultivated. It's very much cultivated. It's deposits you put in. It's the dinners on the road.
Mhm.
It's the hanging with the boys. It's even the vulnerable moments. You know, when I traveled with the Phoenix Suns, some of the best conversations I have with guys are after practice, because I went everywhere. Practice, shoot around, video. We were together 24/7. But it's a family, and it's after you sweat and you work out and you're sitting and there's those vulnerable moments, or up in the plane. Those are key moments that cultivate chemistry too. So it's like we've been at war together. We sweated, and now we're going at it again. So chemistry absolutely can be created. It's cultivated, and the grass is greener where you water it. So if you want it, water it, and it'll start to grow.
Well, you have a book. I've read it. Audio, is it audio?
It's audio and written.
My wife had to read it to me, but
You have
here
not
it
read
is.
it, Tyson.
There it is. Yeah.
I probably sold it, but for all our listeners out there, The Art of Bouncing Back. So tell us why you wrote the book.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a story, and you talk about embracing the suck. And I know is that chapter 1?
Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, the kickstart to this book is incredible. So just talk to us a little bit about both those.
I never intended to write about bouncing back. I was writing the book Patterns of Greatness, because there are patterns to greatness. And after 27 years of doing this, you see patterns, and that's what I was writing on. And then right before I wrote this book, I happened to have my third stroke, and people could read about that, but I had a third stroke, and it was the worst one. And I had to overcome like crazy odds of coming back from this, losing my speech, walking, my everything. And I just come off of the season from the Phoenix Suns. I said, maybe they gave me the damn stroke. No. But in writing that, it was really hard because, I mean, fighting adversity, you come back from hits, you come back from injuries, but after 3, you're like, okay, uncle. And I remember my agent going to me, Dar, you got to get back and write. And I was like, right. Her name was Kelly. I'm like, Kelly, I can't even see what I'm writing or hold a damn pen. And she's like, you need to get back up. She's like, God did not put you in the corner to just sit there. Like, you got to get a message out. And how do you help all these people bounce back, including yourself? Because I did all my own rehab to come back too. And I was like, I don't know. I just help them. She goes, everyone you work with comes back, and they don't just come back. Like, they're better. They're thriving. I was like, it's just what I do. She goes, no, there's got to be a formula. And then I sat down after I pissed about it a little bit. Like, I'm not doing this. This is insane. And then I started writing. And I started writing it out. And for sure, it's pretty much what I coach everyone through is really in this book. But that's the thing. You could read a book and you could get the knowledge, but if you don't apply it, nothing's getting better. And so I start the first chapter with embrace the suck, because listen, when game 7 and you miss the Stanley Cup and you were right there, or you don't make playoffs, or you get injured, or something happens in your family, any setback at that moment, it sucks. There's no other way to say this. And so when I started, I was like, I've got to meet you where it is. Whichever thing has set you back, like, I'm going to meet you there. And here's the key. Setbacks suck, but they could propel you forward if you embrace it. So once we feel the pain of it, how's this going? I don't like it. Okay. What went wrong? What went right? Let's start breaking it down mentally. Let's start getting some data from the experience, because when you get data, you push the emotion away and you start to see the facts instead of the feelings. Feel it and then move it to facts. So feel it so that it gets out of your body and you don't become angry. And then start putting facts to it, which is, what am I going to do about this now? Like, okay, we lost. Oh, we had a bad game. Something happened. Even when I lost my parents, like, losing both my parents was hard. But after a minute, after you embrace it, it's like, okay, I'm going to celebrate them now. Like, there's only so much grieving I could do, but they gave me life so I could go live. Let's go live. Let's keep serving. And that's what everyone could do. You have to reframe the setbacks. Once you embrace it, you reframe it. A bad game, even a bad season, does not mean you're a bad team or a bad player. So I had a player in a different sport one time, but he's like, Dar, I suck. I'm horrible. And he's going on after the game. I was like, okay, you get 2 more minutes on this, maybe. And he's like, did you not see the game? I go, no, the game sucked. You're right about that. I go, but you don't. You're the 1%, right? So if you just realize you're the 1% and everyone goes through challenging games, you could come back. You're still one of the 1%. There's thousands of people wishing they could be in the seat. You're either going to do something about this or you're going to sit back and be the victim. I'm like, victor or victim, you pick. Tomorrow's a new day. And that was it. It was over.
I have a 2-part question, because you have such a remarkable personal story and the health battles that you had to go through. I wanted to ask, when you were going through those with the strokes and you had to bounce back.
Yeah.
Was it hard to apply your own doctrine? Like, did you ever struggle with that? And then the second question is, you lost your speech. That's remarkable. But when you got it back, you still had the accent. So there was no like hard reset.
And now we can't turn her off. And we don't want to.
I had a speech therapist say to me once, you should probably get therapy for how you talk. And I said, lady, I'm going to talk to my family, and it's all going to, any work you did with me is going to be out the door. So forget it. We're done. But great question. So my first stroke happened when I was 25, and I was working in the hospital taking care of stroke and brain injured patients, which, how is that even possible? But so I want to say to you, when I was 25, I did not use the tools that I use now. And I wished I had, but I don't think I'd be where I am today if I didn't have to go through more adversity. Like, it's just, adversity advances you. It just does. And so I I learned more skills along the way, which actually made this book easier because it was so close to me. And from 25 to 46 writing, I was a lot wiser and a lot smarter, and I applied it a lot faster. And I was like, oh, this actually works. Like what I'm helping people with, I applied. It does. And I've used it throughout my whole life. It's reframing setbacks, it's emotional intelligence, it's using your confidence, all the things that we need to keep building our mental conditioning. But let me just say this last point. Mental conditioning is like going in the cold plunge, Tyson.
She's trying to talk me into it. Ain't happening.
And when you go in the cold plunge, it's cold. But if you go in consistently throughout the week, your brain starts to go, oh, I went from fight or flight to we got to get out. This is dangerous to there's no let up. We got this. It's cold. We know what happens. In 2 minutes, we're out. And your body starts to adjust to the pain of adversity. But I want to say in life, when we allow ourselves to go through enough adversity, it's not that it doesn't hurt. By the third stroke, I literally went into the ER and said, does anyone have a charger? I know how this goes. I Ubered myself to the ER. I asked for a charger. I was like, I know this rodeo. So if I should go unconscious or go down, here's what you need to know. Like you're equipped because you've been through enough adversity. And so for teams that are struggling, people that are struggling, just look at it as this is where you build the muscle in the hard. You don't build the muscle in the easy. You build the muscle in the hard. So when you understand that, you're in it and you're like, well, frig, everyone else better watch out because once we get through this hard, we're coming back that much stronger.
Foltz, I got sensitive feet. So when I played,
Feet out.
I never blocked shots. I went out there with a flamingo because it hurt too much, right? So that cold tub ain't happening. I think we just saw Tony Robbins just walk by. We all had coaches.
Yeah.
Right? And I think in that world, your world, he's got to be one of the best.
Yeah.
But for you, who kind of taught you? Was there someone that
So ironically, Tony's group asked me to be one of their coaches.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was definitely a highlight. And I definitely think Tony's one of the best because he meant everything is about the reframing. And then I will say Dr. Daniel Cook was a great mentor. He wrote the book Greatness and he was a sports psychologist. And I have some great mentors in my life. A friend of ours that were here, Bob, who's run business. They're really solid. And that comes down to the patterns of greatness. The patterns are they're delusional in their confidence. You have to be delusional a little bit where it's like, do you think you're going to win the Stanley Cup? Hell yeah, we are. Like, it doesn't matter whether you're ready or not, but you have to go in believing that you will. Because if you take that belief out, Ted Lasso, belief. But if you take the belief out, why would you even get on the ice? So you have to have this unbelievable kind of confidence that we're going to figure it out. You have to be obsessive. I've never met a great that's not absolutely obsessed about their craft. Whatever it is, they're obsessed. Tony Robbins is obsessed in what he does.
So the most overused comment ever, we all need life balance. I'm searching for life balance. If you want to be successful, does that even exist?
It's bullshit. Beep that out. I'm sorry. It actually is. And here's the thing I'm going to say. If you want to be great, you're not going to have balance. There's not a great CEO. There's not a great player. If we just look at the history of the greats, do you think Wayne Gretzky had life balance?
Zero.
Right.
Zero.
Do you think Michael Jordan had life balance? No. So here's what you have to do. You have to go all in when it's your time. So in season, you're all in. And even at off season, you're working on things, but you could have your more family time then. It's deposits. And my career, there's times where people know, like this book launch was 2 years insane. I had 27 athletes. I was on tour 3 cities a week. It was insane, but everyone knew you're not seeing me for 2 years, but it was worth it. So the word balance is really hard. You find micro moments to regain your strength. And I am so much about quality than quantity. So even seeing my own family, when I go visit, we have such good quality time that it lasts us 6 months. Whereas if I just made 5-minute deposits and they were never meaningful, it's like, why even bother in coming over? So you could absolutely do this, but if you want to be great, there's going to be an obsession it's going to take, and it's not for everyone. Here's the quote: greatness is open to all, earned by few. It's just whether you decide to answer the call.
Wow.
With today's athletes that are subjected to, social media and a lot of different factors that maybe, Tyson, you didn't have to deal with growing up. Now they also have benefits that Nash, you maybe didn't have, like
Yeah.
The games were black and white, Foltz, when I played. Okay, so yeah, social media didn't exist. Thank God.
But the atmosphere around sports and sports media has changed a lot just within the last 15, 20 years. What do you notice specifically about younger athletes now that are just coming into the pro leagues compared to maybe the older vets who have been around since before it was hip to have a mental skills coach? What differences do you see in those two groups?
Well, I think as relation to mental skills, the older ones didn't realize that maybe they needed it. And I actually think they wish they had it. They just didn't know it was an option. To Tyson's point, it was, oh, there's something wrong, you need this. Whereas now they're, oh, well, golfers have it, poker players have it, UFC fighters have it, hockey guys have it. Everyone's looking. They all have their own personal now mentor and mental skills coach with them, so they see it as an advantage. So they're coming in, and by the way, I get calls now. I got a call as early as someone 11-year-old that the parents wanted. I said, no, absolutely, I'm not doing it. Like, well, you could deposit. Also, an 11-year-old boys can be like, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am,
Right.
Sure. They don't have anything to say yet.
Right.
But also, I want kids to. I love how Gretzky's like, you got to play a bunch of sports. Like, you need to be well-rounded. Like, and the game's getting harder because everyone's just so focused on one that I'm worried about repetitive injuries, because you used to play hockey and football and baseball, like your body had multiple things that you did.
Mm-hmm.
And now with one all the time, I'm just worried we're going to see bodies wear down a little bit faster. The only thing that balances that is that recovery, and sports medicine is way better. So we could probably help the body a little bit better in that case. But we need to let also kids be kids. They need to have some sort of childhood, but that's for a different story. It's just that the younger guys coming in, I think they're way more accepting of getting their own coach now and saying, help me be the best.
Last one for me, Coach, but off season now for a lot of your athletes, right? Especially at least the hockey players.
Mm-hmm.
Is there in season, they're dealing with all sorts of adversity, scoring slumps, all the things, right? That I'm sure you get calls about.
Yeah.
Now, what is it about? What's the mental training for your athletes in the summer?
Sometimes it depends on the player, because I'm trying to tell them to make sure they take a vacation, go have fun, recover the body, like based on everything is always customized, like truly based on the person, trying to make sure, hey, put deposits into your family, take a little bit of time, go golfing, like work on also some meditation, work on some reading, work on some of the guys really love like learning new things. And I actually have some guys that will read and then we'll go over stuff that we can't do during season. Say it's on leadership, say it's on life, it's on something. It might be also where we're working on confidence. Like I'll watch film with them. And so I'll watch film and I'll go over and say, what did you see here? I also teach them a lot about hesitation. Like, did you see how you hesitated there? As soon as the brain hesitates, it can't make a play. So I'll start breaking down the game a little bit different mentally that we don't get to do when it's so fast paced in season. So there's a lot more time to deal with life, leadership, and the game that we don't get to do typically in season. And also try to just have them have some fun too, because as you all know, it's a grind on the road. I mean, it's like Groundhog's Day. Next city, wake up, do it again.
I'll be calling you after my golf round, my 100 that I shoot today in the heat. So I'll need some mental coaching. Yeah.
Today.
Okay, we're putting it out there, right?
Right.
Yeah, put it out.
Hole's a new hole. And by the way, when your club goes in the bag, the hole's over. It's done.
All right.
A new hole.
I'm using it. I'm
gonna use those tips later today with Nick Olchek here. We're playing in a moment, but Dar, while I have you here, and this is a free session for me, I am like a rookie league, beer league player. I am an absolute plug out there, okay? Like, I try very hard, but I have little to no skill. I didn't grow up playing hockey or anything, but I'll go to the dirty areas. I'll go to the front of the net. I'm a rah-rah guy on the bench. What do I need to do to help the rookie league rhinos in our rec league rec league setup that we have at the Oval?
What's the best part of your game?
Probably when I open the gate.
I feel like at this point I should tell you to just bring the energy. Maybe your energy and your attitude is going to be the thing that helps if it's not going to be your skill yet.
Okay.
Listen, you're coachable. I could see it. So I just want to start baby steps. Let's go with effort and attitude today. Okay.
Okay,
Show
I
up with
can do that.
and then keep working at it. 1% better every day.
I'll make sure all those
DJ.
water bottles are filled.
Yeah. Foltz, DJ. That's where you got to lean into. All the bad players in hockey, they learn to run the stereo, right? The stereo
Yeah.
system, the tunes.
Music.
Pump the tunes.
If you're the best DJ, you're going to be kept around.
I'll have the DJ and I'll have the beers for after. So that's what I'll bring.
Well, thanks, Coach.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.
Fun. And before we let you go, The Art of Bouncing Back. Buy it, read it. Where can we find it?
Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all over. Yeah.
All over.
Here's to a good season coming up this year, too, for the team. I love this team. A lot of the players on the team are like family, and I love the city, and I think there's a lot of greatness to come there.
We love you. Foltz,
Yeah.
unreal job.
Thanks,
buddy.
Coach Dar. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Foltz, again, Coach Dar did not disappoint. I absolutely love this woman. One of the biggest badasses on the planet that I know personally. Spend a lot of time with her. Her and my wife are really good friends, and I try to just soak her up like a sponge. Right when she opens her mouth, just everything that comes out is just fascinating. Right, the biggest thing out of that interview that I took, because I've experienced it. She sat down with me and my family with the flow assessment. And if you don't know what flow assessment is, it's all about learning the personalities that we all are, right? You can only be 5 things in this world, right? It's not rocket science. It's really not, but it helped me once you answer all the questions and they find out what you are, right? What your personality is made up of, because then when you know that, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your boss, whether it's your kids or your wife, right? They know now, they look at their dad, my family, and they're like, okay, dad is like 90% fire, right? And 10% water or wind, whatever it was. And what that means is that I'm a fiery guy. And they're like, we cannot approach dad like this, right? So when you look at a coach like Andre Tourney, and you mentioned it before the show started, how he learns about his players, the player versus the person, right? And it's a lot the same. And when he can understand who his leaders are, because they have those types of personalities in them, right? So found it so fascinating. Once again, huge part of my life, and it's really helped me manage just everything and all my relationships.
I've taken one of those, like a similar type of assessment. It wasn't called a flow test, but it was one of those indicators where it's supposed to encourage empathy, where if someone like you is all fire, then someone who's more water or earth or whatever the symbols are can maybe better understand how to communicate, right? Like what you were saying. And I was kind of the same way. I was all like one category. And so I found out about myself, like I need direct communication, and like, give me a task and I will do it. Don't give me like the information that I don't need, which is why I hang out with you, Tyson, because you give me just what I need, and we're both straight line players, right? We're not dancing around with the puck. We're going right to the net, right to the corner. But it was really interesting to go through, and I just think her story too is crazy. Like, became
3 heart
CEO
attacks, like.
Yeah.
The Art of Bouncing Back. And you touched on a lot of her book, right? I mean, embracing the suck. She talked about that. I mean, I won't, throw it under the bus. So you guys got to obviously listen to the show. You heard all about it. But that was the first chapter in her book, The Art of Bouncing Back. And the book is out and it is flying off the shelves. I can tell you that. It's a great read. It's an easy read. And it's so helpful. Even to this day, I go back to certain chapters just to refreshen up, right? And again, her success speaks for itself. This is a woman who goes in, she worked for Apple. I mean, she goes into Apple and motivates the biggest, baddest people on the planet, right? In the tech world. They bring her in. She charges like $30,000-$40,000 for a speaking engagement, and she came on the Nashcast twice. So I pray to God she doesn't give us a bill, Foltz, because I'll be sliding that under your door.
Yeah, we'd have to like trade some of our players to be able to afford her or something, right? Like send her some future considerations. But no, it was great with Coach Dar, and great to chat with her. And Tyson, you and me are going to be reunited in person again here coming up this upcoming week. If you haven't heard about Mammoth Week, get out from underneath the rock that you're sleeping under, because that's coming July 26th through August 2nd. Nash, do you know what cities you're going to on this whistle stop tour?
Well, I can promise you one thing. I'm coming in the 28th to the 30th, and Park City is one of my stops. My goodness, I circled that on the calendar. The players circle some of the games on the calendar for Mammoth Week. That was mine. So Park City, baby, I'm coming. I think that's the 29th. I cannot wait, brother.
So if you haven't heard, it's a mobile fan fest. We're going to have free street hockey clinics, affordable on ice clinics. We'll be teaching shooting and stick handling. Nasher won't be anywhere near that. Retail pop-up, it's like some giveaways. We'll have some players out as well. And Tyson, you and I are going to be at some of these, and we're going to get some content there. So if you see Nasher or me walking around, come up to us, find us. We'll get you on the show, and we'll hear from the fans. It's going to be a really fun week of spreading hockey all around the state. I've got the cities here: Logan, Provo, Park City, Cottonwood Heights, Ogden, Enoch, I believe is how it's said. I'm still learning my geography here, and St. George. So really excited about Mammoth Week coming up. Again, that's the 26th through August 2nd. It's crazy. Like July is basically done, and we're gonna have a rookie camp and training camp in like a month and a half, basically, and then the season's going. So we got to start dialing it in.
I cannot wait, and it starts right there. That's where it started for me. I mean, yes, on the ice is a beautiful thing, and you want to get on the ice because there's something real special about it, right? The fresh air, the coldness, getting out of the heat, and just creating artwork on that clean ice surface. Just the smell, the Zamboni. It's really easy but hard to explain until you actually experience it. But for me, Foltz, it started in ball hockey. It started on my driveway. It started shooting balls and pucks against the garage door, with my brother between the pipes, right? That's where it started for me. That's where you fall in love with the game. Then it goes to the outdoor rinks, flying around on the lakes. And it's the best game in the world. And the fact that the Utah Mammoth is allowing us to share it with everyone at the grassroots level, the 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds. I mean, that's who you want to fall in love, signing autographs. And I can promise you, I used to be somewhat of a fan favorite because you would spend 2 minutes talking to a kid, right? Talking to a kid, signing an autograph, and that kid would be yanking on mom and dad's, shirt and going, hey, I want to go to the Mammoth store. I want to buy a Folta jersey because what? He spent 2 minutes with me talking to me, and that's just how easy it is, Foltz.
I feel bad for that kid who's walking around with a Folta Mammoth jersey, but no, and to your point, like I started playing hockey 4 years ago. Like had never played.
It doesn't show, by the way. You got to take the skate guards off, Foltz, or are those snowshoes? I'm not sure what you were wearing on the ice the other day.
Oh, I am so brutal. I've gotten better, but once you just like make that first leap, right? Like you buy your first set of skates, or you get your first stick, or you finally just make the jump to go out on the ice and try it. It is so rewarding, and it's I don't want to say it's addicting, but like you fall in love with it. You can't give it up, and then that's what makes our game so great. And I think anybody who tries it and comes out to one of these events at Mammoth Week is going to feel the same thing, unless you attend Tyson Nash's shooting camp. Otherwise, it's going to be a great time. But
I could shoot, I couldn't stick handle. Right, you give me a puck, I'd chop it up into 10 different pieces. So keep me away from that. I gotta be kid friendly, Foltz. But again, what a show, my man. I love every one of these continues to get better and better. And some of our guests are top notch. So, and we got some beauties. I just talked to Paul Bissonnette upstairs. So he's going to be a guest on our show at some point down the road. Not sure if we're going to save him for the pod or get him on the Nashcast TV part of it once the Mammoth starts playing. But, this is just so much fun, buddy.
Can I tell a Biz story real quick? I know
Do
we're
it.
going long here, but so I met Biz once. We were having a 1,000 game celebration. I might have told this before. We were having a 1,000 game celebration for one of our players in the ECHL, Derek Nesbitt, and Nezzy and Biz had crossed paths doing work for the league before, and so this is AA hockey, right? It's the same level as the Utah Grizzlies currently, but we had the Spit and Chicklets guys come out to promote this big 1,000 game celebration, and Paul introduces himself to me. He's super nice and very genuine, and they're partying the whole night, doing their Pink Whitney thing, all that, right? And I've made the decision. I'm like, hey, I want to get Biz on the broadcast, but I can't have anybody who is not in the right mind on the broadcast, because this is going out over
Overserved, you mean?
A little bit. This is going out over a big flagship station in Atlanta. So if something goes wrong, someone's going to hear it. And it's the third period. And what do you know? Biz comes up holding a Miller Lite. And like he has been, flooring it all game. Like he's been so great with all our fans, having a great time. And I was a little worried when he was coming up, but when he put the headset on, a switch flipped. Like, it was the most impressive thing I've ever seen the human body do, was Paul Bissonnette be able to get his mind right to be presentable on a broadcast. And he was unbelievable, like fun and insightful and energetic. And it was a really special night. And I'll always appreciate Biz for the amount of effort he put into promoting that night for our team in the minors.
Foltz, it's all about ratings, right? It's all about ratings. You want some risky stuff, right? That's what gets you the viewership. That's what people want. That's what this podcast needs, a little bit more of that. But now that you've told a Biz story, I got to tell one. So
here we go.
Just now, this will be PG. Just now, this is what I'm talking about. Hockey players are the best people on the planet. And this is a guy that just gets it. He's so popular for a reason, right? So he finds out. He's eating breakfast. He goes, hey, I heard something about your son. He goes, is he Division I now? ASU, that new rule that broke, is he like going to benefit from that? I'm like, yeah, he's going to ASU. He goes, give me his phone number. Give me his phone number. Send it to me. I want to send him a real nice message congratulating him. Like, how simple is that? And my son, like every young guy, right, is just, when this guy walks in the room now, this guy used to be my radio guy. Like, this is hilarious. Like, to watch him and how popular he is just so fascinating, because he didn't make a lot of money playing the game, but he was just he was a glue guy, right? And again, just little things like that is what makes Paul Bissonnette such a popular guy. So can't wait to have him on the show, folks. So well done, my buddy. Another great episode.
All right, let's do it again next week. Thanks, everybody.